Hello, my name is Anthony Moreau. I'm the CEO of American Eagle Gold. With me right here is Mark Bradley, a very skilled geologist. He helped lead the team that made the gold rush discovery that Barrick owns just 5 kilometers north of our property. We're focused on exploring for a world-class gold project in Nevada. And just recently we made an acquisition called NAK. It's a copper gold porphyry located in the Babayan Copper District of BC. Our focus is on tier 1 assets in great jurisdictions where you won't lose your assets.
Well, yeah, that's always that's always good, isn't it? Anthony, Mark, welcome back. Saw you back in July. Good to have you both back here. So I'm going to start with you, Anthony. So you're a copper company now, is that right?
Matt, we're tier 1 property explorer right now. We were in Nevada. Our company's called American Eagle Gold, but look, there's American Eagles also in BC. They're all over North America. Our focus is on being in safe jurisdictions so you don't lose your assets, but also looking for tier 1 deposits. So right now we have American Eagle Gold's first asset was the Golden Gate, just 5 kilometers south of Gold Rush, which is coming online anytime now this month with Barrick. And our decisions are data driven. And we weren't looking for a property in BC. It found us. We couldn't argue with the data that we saw, and we decided to make the acquisition. It was a smart deal. It was accretive for shareholders. We absolutely love it.
Well, it's accretive as yet to be seen, okay? Because it's early days, and if I look at your share price, most gold companies, have suffered a little bit in the last 5-6 months, but you're still $8 million company. It's quite an aggressive acquisition. I mean, how much did you pay for this thing?
Matt, sorry, I shouldn't have said accretive because you're right. That will be proven later on. Not as dilutive as some of the other acquisitions we could have made. We've looked at over 100 assets, and this one was the best. Again, it was data driven. They had so many different layers of data, geophysics, geochem. They all showed the same coincidental anomalies. If you have 3 layers of data that show coincidental anomalies, Matt, you're in good shape. We had 5. It was a no-brainer. And in terms of the acquisition cost, it's 2 million shares of American Eagle Gold, which is less than a 4% dilution of our current shareholders, and 2 million shares of Orefinders that we had on our treasury. So with that, we were able to acquire the asset.
And what did you get for that?
We get an asset that has a non-compliant resource right now. They've done 18,000 meters of drilling. They put over $9 million of exploration on the property. They show a very large non-compliant resource, low-grade copper, low-grade gold. But with these types of copper gold porphyries, they start deeper underground. Look at Tatoga with GT Gold. Look at Red Chris. Look at Alpala that's owned by BHP, that Sol Gold property. Historically, over 100 drill holes. The average depth is 169 meters. These higher grade block cave copper gold porphyries tend to start around 500 meters. Nobody's drilled further than 400 meters on this property. Quite frankly, the last person that owned this did some geophysics on it. They never even interpreted. So what our team did was we digitized all the data, we reinterpreted, we saw some anomalies, and we're ready to drill. So not ready to drill yet, but we're actually already submitted our permit. So we can be ready soon.
Okay, and why did they walk away from it, the previous owners?
Copper is $2 a pound back when they walked away in 2020.
Okay, fine. So, so this thing's been sitting around for how long? And how come you're the only guys at the table?
People have been looking at this since the 1960s. But if you look at historically, these copper plays in BC, they've been looking for open pit mines, something higher grade oxides. Those are hard to find in Nevada. They're also hard to find in BC. Even if you have one in BC, an open pit mine like New Prosperity, good luck permitting. If you want to have a copper mine in BC, I think it has to be underground block cave, and that's what we're looking for. People are just looking for open pits, similar to Golden Gate. People just did shallow drill holes. Matt, I've explained this a bunch of times. I've been told not to repeat my metaphors, but I go fishing a lot. So if you go down to the Atlantic Ocean, you're looking for marlin, you're not putting a fly fishing rod in the ocean. You're not going to catch a marlin with that. You put bent butt rods. And what these people are doing on these properties, they're putting fly fishing rods on there. We're looking for marlin. We're going to do deep drilling. We're hoping to find something. And all the data shows you that we have a good possibility of doing that.
Okay, so how do you move this thing forward? Like I said, $8 million market cap company. You committed a little bit of capital here. Mark's going to tell me about what's been going on down in Nevada in a second. So, and the other thing is, Stephen Stewart, Ore Group chairman, tells me it's easy to raise money. So you guys should have no problem raising money for this. So how much do you raise and what are you going to do with it?
First of all, it's easy to raise money. The real question is, at what cost of capital can you raise it? So that's the big question. But right now, we're fully funded for our current drill programs. We have about $1.2 million. We have $2.1 million in our treasury. We have a lot of room, a lot of runway.
But specifically for NAC, how do you move that thing forward?
So we're going to start showing the public what we saw and why we decided to purchase it. It's got a lot of data. So right now we're going to finish our drill hole. We're going to finish our block model. We're going to work on our 43-101, first a technical report. We're going to put all the data together, all the drill holes, and hopefully come out with a maiden resource and surprise people in Q1 next year, hopefully. From that, we want to move the stock price up and maybe find a strategic partner, maybe do another raise. But when the time is right, we want to raise some money somehow and put those holes into the ground. We're an exploration company. Our job is to be drilling and is to find ways to bring shareholder value. And we believe we did that by finding that.
Okay, so with the data you're inheriting, you can put out a maiden resource just so the market understands where this thing is at. It's a porphyry. It's going to be big, right? But what else is that going to tell us? What else are you going to need to produce around that to help us understand potential economics, how you go about creating value around this thing? Because porphyries typically are big projects with big companies with big balance sheets need to tackle. So how are you going to come at it?
Yeah. So first of all, that resource is just going to prove that we have low grade, huge mineralization at surface. The non-compliant resource is around 290 million tons at low grade copper. What you have here is you have apophyses. They're essentially the copper and gold coming out of a lower late obtrusive stock. And what they do is they distribute low grade gold. Underneath, we believe that there is a high grade stock there. Mark's not an expert in porphyry deposits, but he knows enough to be dangerous. And what we do, our main foundation of our company is our skilled geologist, Mark, world-renowned expert in the Carlin area of Nevada. And we also employ an individual. His name's Gary Artmont. You may not know him. A lot of these geologists you see on TV, they're not doing any geology anymore. They're hyping up these funds. What Gary Artmont does is he's busy looking for assets, and he's the person who's looked at a lot of the assets that we've been looking at to potentially acquire, and he loved this. You might not know him, but he did the original mapping at Grasberg for Freeport-McMoRan in the mid-'80s. So he knows copper porphyry deposits better than anyone else in the world. He's similar to Mark in terms of copper porphyry that Mark is for Carlin type deposits. He loved this asset. He found it for us. He showed us why there is potential. So we're going to tap his brain and we're going to see how we can move this property forward. So first of all, it's a block model. It's the resource, coming out with a drill program and showing the public where we plan to drill, why we plan to drill it, and what we expect to find.
Okay, so you're gonna lay things out for us Q1. So we get a sense of what it is that excited you, okay? And you're going to deconstruct that and help us understand that narrative. Fine. Let's go down south to Nevada, another tier 1 jurisdiction, where you won't lose your assets. I get it. Mark, what have you been up to since we spoke in July?
Yeah, as you know, it's been a struggle to get the drill rig lined up, because the situation in Nevada is so crazy right now.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Because you got your permits relatively quickly. So what happened to the drilling?
The drilling, basically every drilling company is booked solid right now in Nevada. Everybody's drilling. Nevada Gold Mines is drilling. Kinross is drilling. The smaller operators, the small mines, everybody's drilling right now. And so it's been very difficult to get a rig scheduled, especially for us, because we're a fairly small job, 3-hole. We're only drilling 3,000 meters in this initial run. So to get a rig lined up was a bit of a challenge. But we finally did. We do have a core rig on site now. We're about 100 meters down started on the first hole, and we'll be drilling till Christmas, and then short Christmas break, and then back right after New Year's, and we'll continue drilling.
Okay, and so the budget is what? How many meters are we going to look for?
We budgeted roughly 3,000 meters for basically anticipating we'll have to do fairly deep holes and get well into the target lower plate rocks, looking for alteration mineralization there. So basically just a ballpark, roughly 900 to 1,000 meters per hole is what we're looking at.
Okay, so hard to get a hold of drillers. There's a lot of drilling happening. Your next problem is going to be assays, and then getting back to the market and saying, hey guys, here's what we're looking at.
Right. Yeah. There's going to be a lag in assays for sure. Right now, the average assay time looks like it's around roughly 6 to 8 weeks. So it'll probably be February before we get the first assays out.
Right. Okay. So it's not completely crazy. We've heard worse. We've heard worse. Okay, and like we had a great conversation when you came on in July. And you sort of explained obviously your background with Barrick and what you knew of the region and the Carlin Trend, etc. With this drilling, is there any more work going on in terms of helping you understand what you're starting to see here, or are you projecting a lot of the information which you've brought down from Barrick onto the property? And I guess that may or may not be saving money. I mean, what are you spending your time doing?
Obviously, a lot of this is based on my own experience with Barrick and projecting geology from where I know it very well at Cortez Hills and Gold Rush into the southern part of the Grange, where we're drilling right now, a few kilometers away. But we are continuing to work on targeting. One thing we haven't done too much work on yet is the eastern part of our property, which is sitting directly south of Gold Rush. And that's something where while we're drilling these first holes this winter, we're going to be continuing to advance targeting on the eastern part of the property, perhaps run some more geophysics, do some preliminary modeling, so that hopefully by spring, when we're finishing up those holes on the west half of the property, we can move the rig over and just get a couple holes going on the east part as well.
Okay. And Tony, this one for you. When we spoke last time in July, you said, right, we've got enough money for the next 12 months. We've drilled 3 or 4 holes and we're going to drill next year. And this is about data gathering, right? That's what you told me. With this acquisition, does that put a hole in Mark's budget? You're going to have to go and raise some capital that, allow him to do what you told me he was going to do?
Yeah, good question, Matt. Well, first of all, our budget right now for NAC is around $115,000. We have $75,000 for vendor payments. We've already covered our work commitments from the previous vendor, and we're looking at about $40,000 between the block model, the 43101, the technical report. We're going to wait. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves. We're going to analyze this data, see what happens, see how the market takes it, and then take it one step at a time. And hopefully by then our assays will come out and we'll have good results. But right now we're looking for next year. Our cash burn is going to be about $400,000, 2.1 currently million on our balance sheet, $1.2 million current spend on our drilling. So that leaves us, even after the $400,000 ambitious plan, around $500,000 of leeway. So we'll take it how it is right now.
Well, of leeway, you say leeway, it's not a lot of money, right? Things go wrong, things get delayed, that gets eaten up real quick. So I guess the point is, and I mentioned it earlier, in terms of if there is a need to go and get capital, do you feel comfortable that you can give Mark what he needs? Because the picture that I walked away with is that you guys need to make this look pretty for Barrick, right? Effectively, because this is the name of the game here. Is you got to create enough data for them. You don't necessarily need to run through a whole bunch of studies and spend money on that. What you do need is a bunch of data to impress them. So, can you get that money to allow Mark to do his thing? 100%
believe we can, and like I mentioned earlier, Matt, the question is not whether we can. It's what's the cost of capital and how much are we going to dilute our current shareholders. But I'm hoping we're going to get some headwinds from our results, from the price of gold. I believe in Mark, and in Mark we trust. So, and Matt, we didn't mention this earlier, and again I say in Mark we trust. And a lot of shareholders email me today about NAC. They say, you're going into BC, it's copper, gold, porphyry. What does Mark think? I thought you're focusing on Nevada. And again, we're focusing on tier 1 districts and safe jurisdictions, which we did. And Mark, I guess I'm going to interview you. Just tell the people that are listening what you thought of that project, because I tell you what, we had an individual that helped find it for us. We liked it, but everything goes through Mark, and Mark makes the final decision. So maybe Mark, you just bring us through that when you saw NAC and why you like it so much.
Okay, yeah, I guess just as a little bit of background, as I'm not the expert on porphyries that Gary is. Obviously, I don't have his wealth of experience, but I am a trained economic geologist. I've looked at porphyry systems before. I've actually evaluated a couple of the BC porphyries for Barrick when I was working for them, including Red Chris and Saddle, the GT Gold deposit. Looked at both of those in detail. So I do have some background in looking and evaluating copper gold porphyries. And I was very encouraged after seeing what Gary had put together and his team put together in the data. There are definitely some real distinct similarities to what I saw at both Red Chris and at Saddle, particularly things like in the drilling they did, the couple of deep holes they did have in the property. There was an abundance of boronite downhole, which is a copper sulfide, and that's a very key indicator for looking for these higher grade block cave porphyry opportunities. It's if you have a lot of boronite, that's a good sign that there could be higher grades. And there was, in the historic drilling, there were some indications of higher grades at depth as well. So there's enough evidence there from the geophysics and from the drill data to suggest that, yeah, this is an opportunity for a deep copper gold block caving deposit there. So from my background, I was very encouraged with what I saw.
Okay, look, guys, I appreciate you coming on and talking about this. Final question for you, Tony, is you've got to get some jet fuel into this thing. You've got to get out there and tell this story. You disseminating and breaking down the Nat copper story, I think is going to be really, really important for people to understand the data that you have bought into and now committed to. And obviously, with the the drilling starting down in Nevada, we need to see, more of that coming through and flowing through into the marketplace, because I think you've got the beginnings of two quite nice projects here, but you're not out there enough. We want to see more of you, and we want to definitely hear, the strategy, because when you talk, it seems quite sensible, but we don't hear enough from you. So I just leave you with that thought. Come back and see us in the new year, and perhaps I don't know if Gary or Mark could come back and maybe do a slightly more technical interview with one of our analysts on both projects. We'd really love that.
Looking forward to having them back. And Matt, you're exactly right. I appreciate the constructive criticism, like my mother gives me. I take a lot of blame for where our stock price is right now. We have great geologists, world-renowned ones, great assets and amazing locations, looking for tier one deposits. It's my job to go out there. People ask me what the catalysts are. Drilling's a catalyst, but also catalyst is marketing. It's about me going out there, making sure people know about that story and want to talk to them, making sure that they can buy the stock, because I believe it's a compelling story. We're undervalued. There's a lot of upside. We're in the Cortez district of Nevada, which is the future of Newmont and Barrick's growth. You cannot be closer to their facility than we are. And also, we're looking for a large copper gold porphyry in one of the best jurisdictions after Chile and Argentina in the world, in BC. So we're going to go out there. And Matt, like you said, you can have $1 ounce coins be at the top of Mount Everest. You can't even sell them for $1. So right now, I'm going to tell everyone about the story. I left a large mining company with a good salary to do this because I believe in it. I want everyone else to understand why I did. Mark believes in it. Gary believes in it. We're going to continue driving the story forward. And I appreciate you having me on.